So I wanted to ask you about power yoga and how some people say that power yoga is not really yoga and that some people who do power yoga are bastardizing yoga and not honoring its traditions. What do you say about that?
Well, I think it's interesting that people have such an opinion about a practice and an established form of practice which many people enjoy. So I think my first reaction is that it may not be necessary to react so strongly to a particular form of yoga practice. So there's so many different opportunities for a practice in yoga that would suit you and your body and your beliefs. And I think the best thing for everyone to do is probably just respect and appreciate that the yoga practice is such a widely is so popular and people are so enthusiastic about it. In terms of it being non-traditional, I don't know if there's ever been a claim that power yoga or any types of hybrid or fusion styles of yoga are really trying to be traditional. There are many forms of traditional yoga that are beautiful, and there's definitely a lot of inspiration that we can seek from them. But I don't know if we all have to do the same thing to feel our connection to our body, breath, and spirit. I don't know if we all need to be Ashtanga practitioners or Kundalini yogis to feel our connection to our body, breath, and spirit. And in the Yoga Sutras, there's actually no mention whatsoever of the practice of asana, or the postures. So I don't really give that opinion a lot of thought. Basically, I don't see why it would even be an issue.
I think some people have said that it seems like it's just a physical practice. That it's just a workout, and then or some people see it as having little to do with yoga, which is the connection to the breath, body, spirit. Is that what you said?
Yeah, well, there's a lot that can go on with yoga. I mean, there's definitely the intention behind a yoga practice can be set by your teacher. It can be set by the modality of yoga that you practice in. There's so many opportunities to be expressive within yoga itself, and I think that is fantastic. So the opinion of it not being spiritual, I'm not sure where that would come from. That would sort of be similar to having a sense that people who, and again, this is just a comparison, and I don't think they're the same thing. But if you compare yoga to dance, for example, it would be probably inappropriate to assume that someone was not having a physical and spiritual experience while dancing. I wouldn't claim that there's people that are always having a spiritual experience while they're practicing more spiritually based types of yoga. I think we strive to feel a spiritual connection, and for me, my connection to spirituality exists in all of the things that I do, and most definitely I experience it while I'm practicing power yoga, Ashtanga yoga, Hatha yoga, restorative yoga, you name it. Even things that are not declared as yoga, I still will feel a spiritual connection of my body, breath, and spirit just because of my relationship to the yoga practice, to the yoga philosophy.
Yeah, so that's very interesting, because I've heard you say that you'll even feel yogic doing weightlifting or in other areas of your life that really have nothing to do with what some people would see as yoga.
Well, I think yoga is a state of mind, and most people who are really invested in yoga and the yoga practice know that, and they access it by doing various things, meditation, chanting, different breathing techniques. Those things are not all based on, those things have very little to do with the poses of yoga. So, and there's many, many poses of yoga, and there's many, many ways of getting into them and practicing them. So, there are times where I'll have an experience, a yogic experience through my breathing, through my connection to my bandhas, my core, my intention, my mindfulness, and I'll have that experience outside of a yoga asana class. And that's wonderful. I mean, I'll have a meditative experience, and we've all probably had this, or hope to have it at some point, that, you know, walking in a beautiful environment, you can have a very meditative and yogic experience. I don't think we need to limit ourselves to what yoga is by defining it within a particular modality of yoga, or even just by keeping it focused on, you know, our rubber mats that we bring with us into our yoga studios. I mean, that is not the intention. It's definitely not the intention behind what I know as power yoga, and it's never been the intention of any power yoga instructor that I've ever had. So I don't believe that I think that's a very narrow-minded perspective.
What I see as really beneficial about power yoga is that for some people who maybe we have trouble accessing that connection with mind, body, and breath, just being still, and in power yoga, when you're bringing yourself to, you know, a real physical edge, to a limit where there's nothing on your mind but that moment in the pose, in the position, you're connected with your breath and you're breathing through it, and that's your point of meditation. That's all you can do to meditate. And I find that that's a really accessible way for many people to actually do yoga.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So I'm just offering my 2 cents there.
Yeah, no, I don't think that there's... I think Ashtanga is a very rigorous practice, and I think when you invest yourself in the Ashtanga practice for 10, 20 years, you may not feel like that it's as rigorous, for example, because that is, you know, your body becomes comfortable with the asana, becomes comfortable with the poses. The same can be said for power yoga. The same can be said for any type of yoga. So when you do have that beautiful balance of, you know, mindfulness, spirit, your body and your breathing, and you are able to be present, and when you're present, there's all these different sensations that you experience. And stillness has sensation. It has its own unique sensation. So wherever you find that, that's fantastic.
What do you think is some people's real hesitancy? Why are some people scared of power yoga?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, everything new is scary, and claiming, I mean, even the word power, the way I think about power yoga is not even so much as the way you would feel like a weightlifter and the power they would put physically behind something. To me, the word power is all about the power of the spirit and the body, and it's not about, you know, maxing your muscles out to the point where you can't stand, or, you know, you're shaking in your chaturangas. In fact, I would never teach that way, because I feel that all yoga, even power yoga, should be restorative. But I think it's the intimidation just around the perception of what it might be. Yeah, and there is, you know, there's lots of really amazing and definitely more physically challenging versions of power yoga that you can seek out. You know, there's people who are almost like gymnasts that are practicing power yoga, and I mean, their practice physically is something that you could watch almost like entertainment. But I still wouldn't claim that those people that are moving in that physical way are not having a spiritual experience. They may well be. I would never assume that they were not.
And when you started yoga, I mean, you started through what? Hatha? Like what was your progression between, you know, going into your first class and then feeling comfortable doing something that is a little more challenging, more associated with the term power yoga?
Oh, well, I just knew that I found my first Hatha yoga class terribly challenging. It was a downward dog. It was unbelievably hard. I found it unbelievably hard. And I don't know, there was something about that stillness and and that introspection that I wanted to know more of. So I thought it was only logical to try other types of yoga and still try to have that experience. And I mean, it's worked for me.
Yeah, everyone has to find something that's good for them.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried a number of different types of yoga, and actually I teach many different styles of yoga, and power yoga just happens to be one of them.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you'd like to add about?
I think also there shouldn't be any negative opinions towards people building and strengthening and becoming comfortable with their body. So if there is ever an intention around asana that is about building and balancing the body, I don't see why there would be any negativity around that. I think that's a wonderful and beautiful experience and a spiritual experience unto itself. And I don't think that we're talking about, the same thing as like, bodybuilding or anything along those lines. If someone happens to become more physically capable, more mobile, more confident, more aware of their breathing, and